So biocentrism is a theory that's put out by a guy named, or at least promoted by a guy named Dr. Robert Lanza. And he has a video on YouTube that talks about biocentrism and quantum mechanics and physics and biology and consciousness and death. And we want to get the Tantrik view on life and consciousness as the base of the universe. You know, there's a mechanistic view of the universe that's very popular and commonplace, and then there's this view, which is turning that on its head, upside down.
All in 5 minutes.
What do you
No
have to say
problem.
about that?
The whole universe in 5 minutes. Well, the biocentrism idea is a fantastic idea. I've seen everything coming out in quantum physics now be absolutely a confirmation of everything I've ever learned about in Tantric yoga, whether oral teachings or from the texts of our lineage for thousands of years. So it's an exciting time right now, I think, for anybody into spiritual development, quantum physics, cutting-edge biology, genetics. It's just fantastic. Well, the idea that all of our material world arises actually out of this substrata of consciousness, a substrata of energy that's beyond form and no form, beyond time and space. That's just a fantastic idea, and that this is sentient, that it's self-aware. I mean, this is turning everything upside down. And previously, everyone in science was very mechanistic, and they thought that the material world ruled, and our consciousness was only a byproduct of evolution, which produced a brain which could think and be self-aware. And then when you died, your brain died, and your consciousness died. Your soul, your spirit, your consciousness was gone forever. And this is turning out to be not actually good science, which is really exciting, because in Tantra and Yoga and all the other great ancient traditions of the world that thought that the universe was animate from the beginning, and that material world comes out of the consciousness world, or out of the dreaming, as Australian Aboriginals would say, and so on. This is becoming scientifically proven. The evidence is there, and people are starting to pay attention to it, and quantum physicists are turning their attention towards it. And excitingly, biologists are turning their attention towards it. We know that our perceptual world creates our reality. Our perceptual world creates our reality without a doubt, from Heisenberg to all the other scientists. So now it's just kicking into like turbo gear. So this is another exciting breakthrough for science, but we in Tantra have known this forever, and that's how we create our lives, through meditation. We create our lives and our whole worlds through meditation. This new science has a practicality, but they don't really know yet what it can be used for. But obviously it has practicality for medicine, for psychology, for helping us in the world in so many ways. And that's what Tantra was about. Non-dual Tantra was always about these realizations, and then how they help us in the world that we live in, how they help us understand health and psychology and all the rest of it. So it's exciting to see this, what I see is this merger of this stream of consciousness going, called non-dual Tantra, forever since humanity, and finally physics is just catching up, yeah? And I think what we're going to see in the world is a lot of breakthroughs in science and technology using this new understanding, hopefully with a little bit of ethical consideration. We won't use it to blow each other up, to make more money and destroy our resources, but we'll use it to actually further the aims of this consciousness itself that is intelligent and does run the whole universe. And really its aims are always about more harmony, peace, love, and compassion at the base.
That sounds excellent. I was fascinated when Dr. Lanza was mentioning that time and space, which we always assume to be static, real things, actually are just coming from our minds.
So space and time were considered to be objects for the longest time, to be things or standard substances that couldn't be manipulated, you know, and so on. Now we know that they're nothing more than projections of our consciousness. Now we have individual consciousness. Certainly we project our own world. What the biocentrism theory doesn't understand yet, though, is that there's a universal consciousness that projects it as well. So we're not individually creating our entire universe. It's more like a collective thing between all sentient beings and the universe itself. It's a little more complex.
Yeah. So does that mean that if I learn to work with my mind, I can traverse time in a non-linear fashion?
Yeah, this is one of the coolest things I always found about Yoga Tantra practice. I, like many of us, felt disempowered in this great nature growing up and thought, wouldn't it be great to have the powers of a superhero and be able to go through different realms and universes and fly around through space, you know? So that was a childish thing. But there was some urge in me that spoke to a freedom greater than what the mechanistic view of life offered. So when I got into Yoga Tantra meditation, I started to realize these other realms we're traversing to were not just archetypical kind of impressions in my neurons I picked up. They weren't just some genetic material, in a sense, divested from consciousness itself, but were actually real realms, other realms. And we started to realize that our consciousness wasn't just associated with the body in such a strict fashion, that it was produced by the body. Hardly. In fact, the body mediates the consciousness while we're alive in this form. It projects this body, your consciousness right here in this body, projects your body and projects your perceptual field. And it's mediated by your body, and your perceptual field creates your world. As you change your perceptual field, you change your body, you change your world. So, you know, in the quantum physics understanding of this, if we can get behind that, we realize we're projecting time and space. Now, the proof for that is amazing, because I go all around the world lecturing on non-dual tantra, and one of the things that comes up often is that the fruit of the tantric yoga path of practice is often what we call a rainbow light body. My teacher talked about it, and it's a tradition forever in our system, that you can reach a place where you sit so far behind time and space, where you control the variables that produce time and space, where you yourself as a physical human being lose the meaningfulness of an XYZ plotted location for your body. So your consciousness and your body completely merge as one, or return to source, and nothing but rainbow light is experienced everywhere. So in the light of, to me, it was always very scientific. In the light of modern quantum physics, it's very scientific. It's no longer the realm of myth or superstition. And it's a wonderful reality, right? And there's a lot you can do with this idea, and it's beautiful. So we see the time and space and the other three limitations that we talk about in our system that produce this world are actually called in our system powers that beautify this non-dual experience of source. Rather than limit it and that's negative and we're stuck here, it opens us up to the idea that, wow, the limitations of these five limitations, which we call the five veils, right, on this source of everything, this consciousness, produces the infinite myriad worlds that exist. How amazing, how amazing. It's ornate, you know. It's festooned with worlds. So we have this opportunity as tantric yogins to meditate and do these practices and actually experience what these researchers are observing. Therein is a difference as well. My teacher always said, all this quantum physics is going in the right direction, but we tantrics are the original scientists of quantum physics, because our body is the laboratory, our mind is the experimenter, and the results are your life and all the amazing things that you experience. So I really get excited about that, as you can see.